for which Trump could claim presidential immunity. Hellerstein will hear arguments in the case today. I'm Donna Warder.
Israeli strikes in Gaza killed at least 19 Palestinians today, most of them women and children. Israel pledged to continue its strikes, saying it was responding to a militant attack on Israeli soldiers that seriously wounded one. European shares were mixed today, while most benchmarks across Asia, despite a retreat on Wall Street on selling of technology stocks. James Harden is headed to the Cleveland Cavaliers, with the Los Angeles Clippers agreeing to send the 11-time All-Star back to the Eastern Conference during his highest-scoring season in 6 years. This is AP News. AP correspondent Lawrence Brooks reports on the latest round of talks in the United Arab Emirates over ending the Russia-Ukraine war.
Envoys from Russia and Ukraine are set to meet in Abu Dhabi for another round of US-brokered talks on ending the almost 4-year war. The delegations are expected to be joined by US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and President Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner. Officials say last month's talks in the United Arab Emirates capital yielded some progress but no breakthrough on key issues. The latest talks are being held amid Ukrainian outrage over major Russian attacks on its energy system. A recent overnight bombardment included hundreds of drones and a record 32 ballistic missiles, wounding at least 10 people. It came despite Ukraine's understanding that Russian President Vladimir Putin had told Trump he would temporarily halt strikes on Ukraine's power grid. I'm Lawrence Brooks.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see cloudy skies here for today with temperatures holding rather steady. Northwest winds around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, cloudy and a low near 16. By Thursday, a slight chance for some snow. We'll see cloudy skies, high 31 degrees. Friday, a slight chance for snow early on, mostly cloudy, high of 39. By Saturday, mostly sunny skies, high around 29 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 21. Need to sell your house fast? Whether you're facing foreclosure, stuck with bad tenants, or just ready for a fresh start, House Buyer Network can help. We buy homes as is for cash. No fees, no commissions, no repairs. Get a fair cash offer in just 24 hours and close in as little as 7 days. Call 833-719-5877 now for your free no-obligation offer. That's 833-719-5877. House Buyer Network. Fast cash, no hassle.
Offers are typically below market value in exchange for speed and convenience. Call for details.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Wednesday morning, progressives. Welcome to the February 4th already 2026 edition of Choose Views. 773-763-9278. Find my show on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, YouTube. Of course, email me at richard@wcpt820.com. And follow me on all the socials, from Instagram to LinkedIn to X, Blue Sky, Threads, Substack, Spoutable, Facebook. We hang out there. Posted some more stuff yesterday. Catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. There you can get Choose Views, featured interviews, Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez. It's The Democracy Stupid with Edwin Eisendrath, Out Chicago, and our other shows and interviews. And as always, make your way over to heartlandsignal.com to check out all of our articles and posts from the days. My man Henry's rolling with us today. Mike's in the back making things happen, so that's always good. Got a team here, guys. Got a team. Can't do this stuff alone. That's why I was either talking to someone, or maybe I said this on the air. I can't remember, Henry, about this whole American rugged individualism and doing it, the whole bootstraps conversation, and which is really, it's. I was talking about it here. I was saying you take any company in America, you take the top 10 companies in America, wealthiest companies in America, and we'll find out that every one of those companies had something along the way of assistance from some area of government, if nothing else, whether it be on a federal level, on a state level. They've gotten assistance, they've gotten help from an entity. Even if they, quote, inherited some money and then they started a business, they got help from something other than just themselves. And if they came up with the idea to do X, Y, Z, there was some other person or entity. In many cases, it was a bank, or it may have been depending on the type of business, some sort of government entity or involvement in their success. So they didn't do it alone. And that rugged individualism, it's not that it's a myth, but it's overblown sometimes because of the way in which people try to then forget that they received help along the way. So ultimately, I'm just saying it's about us working together as community. Yesterday's guests, all three talked about that. We had with us Sunny Fisher, philanthropic leader here in Chicago. She talked about the importance of that when it comes to public housing and public education and public care. Mandela Barnes, who's running for governor in Wisconsin, same thing. It's about community. Qasim Rashid, same thing. It's about community and fighting. And so that's one of the things that I think is really important when we talk about what we do here. It's a community. We got a team of folks that work hard every day to bring you guys the best that we've got. So that's why you hear me so many times giving recognition and shout outs to Henry and to Mike and Devin and Maddie B and Lady B, because we have a great team of people that keep us on the rails. But yeah, when you make your way over to heartlandsignal.com to our digital platform, make sure you're sharing, because I've gotten some really good comments from people who have said, yeah, I heard about this because of Heartland. And that's great to see. And when you follow me on social media, you'll see that we're putting out a few more items for you guys to check out that you can then share parts of the show, or parts of interviews from the show. So that's another tool for you guys to have in your toolbox. Today's show, we have our good friend Kristen Crowell, who is the executive director of Fair Share America. So I'm looking forward to chatting with her. We haven't talked to Kristen, I think, since the beginning of the year. We haven't talked to her at all this year. So it'll be good to get kind of the headwinds from her on what's happening when it comes to economics, tax policy, and all the rest, the budget. So looking forward to that conversation. She's always spot on and full of energy, and just someone that you guys should be following. And the 7 o'clock hour, it's Wednesday, so our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 will be hanging out with us, and we'll talk about some of the great stuff that he's putting out on social media, some of the posts, the work that he's doing in terms of candidates in Indiana, and just more broadly. And I know he's going to have some things to say about Black History Month. And then in the 7:30 hour, Lavora Barnes will be with us from Michigan to talk about her work in terms of democracy and fighting for us, fighting for everybody that is concerned about not only losing democracy but losing their place in this country. So looking forward to talking with Ms. Barnes. But right now, speaking of Black History and Black History Month, check this out, progressives.
Black History Month was started in Chicago, but there's more that you need to know about. Let's talk about it. The year was 1915, and the National Half Century and Lincoln Jubilee was happening right here in Chicago at the Chicago Coliseum. Now, the whole purpose of that was to celebrate Black life and the 50-year anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation. But during that time, a guy by the name of Carter G. Woodson founded something that would become something big. He and four others, including a guy by the name of George Cleveland Hall started the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. That organization is still going on today, but is known as the Association for the Study of African American Life and History and the whole point that Carter G. Woodson wanted was to get the information about Black history and culture and celebrate Black achievements. And he did that. Something else, fun fact, the year after, in 1916, he started the Journal of Negro Life. That is still around. And guess what? It's called the Journal of African American Life, but you can still read and check that out because the University of Chicago still has it available to you. Fun fact. Moving forward, in 1926, Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of African American Life and History created Negro History Week, and it was designated to be the second week of February. And the reason why is because Abraham Lincoln's birthday is February 12th, and Frederick Douglass's birthday is February 14th. Now check this out. It was a whole 50 years in 1976 when it expanded to a month. But also at that time, that's when the United States said, hey, look, we'll celebrate with you. It wasn't an official holiday until law was passed 10 years after that in 1986. I'm older than Black History Month. Fun fact, did you know that Carter G. Woodson was the second Black in U.S. history to graduate with a Ph.D. from Harvard? Ha! The first was W.E.B. Du Bois. There you go. There's some more Black history for you.
Oh man, oh man, oh man! It's always great to have Dario. That's Dario Durman. He is a Chicago native and puts a lot of great stuff out on social media about Chicago and what happened, Chicago's history, the Black history of Chicago, the Latino history, the Asian history, the Irish history, the Italian history. He puts a ton out, and he and I've been. We've shared information for a couple of years now, and great dude. Trying to get him on the show. It'll happen when it's going to happen, but want to give him his due there. You can follow him on social. 77 Flavors Shy is his handle on social media, and really great. If you just he's kind of like Six Figure Dilla. These are two brothers from Chicago that put out a lot of content about the city of Chicago. They're proud natives of the city of Chicago, and they have been so influential, and their voices have been so strong in general. But when it comes to Black history, they particularly so, and then Chicago history. And so, like I said, Monday, I'm going to each day have some feature, some bit of information, some content about about Black History Month. And this just so happens to be about Chicago as part of that. See, for those out there who want to talk trash about Chicago's a historic city, people. And I don't care where you're from and where you are, but Chicago and I'm going to do my best, like I said, to stop leading with, not perfect. No place is. Your own house is not perfect. What you want to do, leave that? No, you work hard to fix it. That's the thing I would say, Henry. When people are like, oh, I'm going to Chicago. Your own house isn't perfect. Your own house has got its issues. Did you cut the grass every day like you're supposed to? Did you take out? We could go down that path. Stop trash talking about Chicago. Either get involved and help or shut the hell up. That's kind of how I look at it. Same thing with Illinois. Illinois is doing some great stuff. And like so many other places, we all need repair. Drive your car enough, you're going to need to take it in to get work done. Go to the dentist. You might have a surprise every now and again. The list goes on. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it's great to have someone like Dario talk about Chicago, but also the broader impact of Black history in this country, which, as I say every day, Black history is American history. No question about it. So lean into it, folks, and enjoy it and appreciate it. So yeah, I had a text this morning that I wanted to mention. Oh, the question that I received is if those who are attending the Senate, the candidate forum on Friday, the Senate candidate forum on Friday, will be able to ask questions from the audience, and the answer to that question is no. There won't be audience questions of the candidates. The format is set up where Joan, Patty, and I, since we are moderating it, will be asking the questions. Now, we have put out a request for people who may want a question to be asked, that you send it to us. So if you, even at this point, if you've got a couple of questions that you would like to be addressed by the candidates, then send them to me. You can send them to my email address, which is richard@wcpt820.com. You can send them to Patty or Joan at their emails, respectively, and we'll do our best to try to weave them into the conversation. But there won't be audience, passing around the mic and letting people ask questions of the candidates, just because it's not the way that we want to handle the format of the forum. But show up. We're pretty much full up at this point. So I'm excited that we have reached that point. Let's take a quick break, Henry. The number, of course, is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM down in North Carolina, Warren County specifically. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
For the Political Voices Network. This is America, right? We don't do kings here. No crowns, no thrones, no authoritarian cosplay. That's why we created the No Kings American flag pin. For the low price of $20.26, that's 2026, we're keeping our eye on the prize here. This well-crafted enamel pin is the standard 1-inch American flag lapel pin, but this one features the patriotic No Kings symbol that defines our rallying cry. It's your quiet way of signaling to other patriots that you believe in democracy, and yeah, that still matters. You can grab yours now at store.politicalvoicesnetwork.com. That's store.politicalvoicesnetwork.com. The No Kings American flag pin. Get it now at store.politicalvoicesnetwork.com.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
This is Choose Views with Richard Chu.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being with us this morning. A couple of quick Choose Views news items on this February 4th, 2026. Pepsi has decided to cut prices on snacks in a nod to affordability. They are slashing their popular snacks like Doritos and Lay's by as much as 15% in response to consumer complaints over affordability, according to the Wall Street Journal. Prices have been rising since the COVID pandemic, while companies pushing the limits of shopper loyalty. Consumers, quote, are told us they need more value, according to Pepsi's Rachel Fernando. Pepsi beat analysts' expectations on fourth quarter earnings and revenue that was released yesterday, but experienced a decline in volume, particularly in North America, where families are tightening their budgets. Construction industry is facing worsening labor shortage concerns. The construction industry is grappling with a workforce shortage as experienced workers are retiring and demand for new projects is continuing to grow. The industry will need to bring in 349,000 new workers in this year, 2026, and in 2027, 456,000 to meet the demand, according to the Associated Builders and Contractors. Missing those targets may worsen labor shortages and place upward pressure on labor costs. So construction has historically struggled with an aging workforce, though the outlook may improve as Gen Z is entering the industry. I've said for the longest time, this is one of the areas where, when we talk about training, we talk about education, we talk about training and skill development. This is an area that we've just dropped the ball as a country. That whether that be on the right or the left or in the middle, we have not looked at this area as a growth industry by making sure that we are training young men and women. And here in Illinois, I will say this, we've got a really strong, this is where labor and unions come into play. We have a huge, huge relationship with union workers. And the import of that is the training, the recruiting and the training mechanisms that many of the unions here in Illinois have in place, and particularly in the Chicagoland area and Cook County. But construction is definitely one where this is an issue, but it's also an opportunity. So just my observation from talking with a number of guys that are and women that are in the trades. New York City transit system is set for an upgrade, speaking of building and infrastructure, with a $12 billion infusion. The largest transit system in America is getting a multi-billion-dollar makeover. New York's Metropolitan Transit Authority is forming a new group dedicated to overseeing the $12 billion overhaul of the city's aging rail car and bus fleet, according to Bloomberg. The Deputy MTA Chief Jesse Lazarus will lead the roughly 10-person unit, which plans to purchase some 1,500 new subway cars and more than 500 commuter rail cars and 2,200 new buses to replace vehicles beyond a typical lifespan. That is great news for New York. That's great news for that part of the Northeast corridor. Yeah, exactly, Henry. And frankly, I hope that other cities can find. This is where the Biden infrastructure bill was such a powerful tool, and this knucklehead in White House and his minion are messing that up. But anyhow, keep on trucking, New York City. That's great to hear. Last but not least, Pfizer bets on a monthly drug to break into the obesity market. Pfizer's experimental obesity drug is performing well in the ongoing study, the pharmaceutical giant said yesterday. The injection helped patients lose up to 12.3% of their body weight after 28 weeks. And weight loss didn't plateau once those patients switched to taking the drug monthly, according to the company. That could be a crucial selling point for Pfizer, which is trying to break into the obesity drug market dominated by Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly. So we'll see what happens. But good to see that they are moving forward in that space. And one more story that I wanted to share. Eddie Bauer stores could close as operators are eyeing Chapter 11. Eddie Bauer could see most, if not all, of its North American stores close as the retail operating company prepares to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, according to sources. In the event of a bankruptcy filing, the 106-year-old retailer would still maintain its e-commerce and wholesale operations through a new operator, Outdoor 5. But multiple parties have expressed interest in buying portions of the retail operations. Sad to see. When I see that happen with businesses, particularly retail is just catching hell right now and has for a while, but particularly with the impact that COVID had on so many retail stores. We see it here in Chicago on State Street and other places that have been retail hubs for so many years. And I hate to see it because retail oftentimes is an entry point of jobs for many people when they're coming out of school or their summer. They're in school and there's summer job opportunities and holiday. You know our routine in that space. So I hate to see that, particularly with Eddie Bauer, but any of the retail stores that we've all come to know. And some may say, well, this is not a political, it's not everything is about politics. And some of it, as we know, is about economics. That's an affordability conversation, if you want to ask me, because the people that work there and work for that organization will have to navigate through finding a new opportunity. And the businesses that thrive from a business in the communities, like I say, oftentimes about when a major footprint goes, it affects everything else in that area. That's when we talk about the hospitals in rural communities being put upon by this administration because of what's happening with Medicare, Medicaid, and tariffs. So we have to be open-minded enough, and I myself have to tell myself this all the time, to look at what the connective tissue is. A retail store or retail entity goes out of business, that impacts a whole bunch of people in a lot of different areas. Whether you're an Eddie Bauer buyer or not, it still is going to impact somebody in the community that you live in, particularly if they have a brick and mortar store. So I hate to see when those things happen, but I do want to bring it to you as an item just so that you are aware. Talk about North Carolina a lot because we've been blessed to have a partnership with WARR down in Warren County, as that has been really a great thing to have, and they broadcast this show there daily. But as you guys know, we've got a town hall fireside chat that's coming up on March 1st. So for my listeners in North Carolina, don't miss the Building Bridges Fireside Chat. It's a free event that I'll be co-hosting with North Carolina Democratic Party Chair Anderson Clayton. Sunday, March 1st, just two days before the state's Democratic primary. We'll be joined by North Carolina State Reps Rodney Pierce, Dante Pittman, and also Pastor James Gaillard, who is a candidate for North Carolina State Senate. And hopefully we may have the opportunity to have former Governor Roy Moore, who's running for Senate, as part of the conversation as well with North Carolina voters. The event takes place at the World Tabernacle Church in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, Sunday, March 1st from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern. And to register, go to heartlandsignal.com and click on my picture. That'll take you to my show page where you'll find information about the event and a registration link. Or you can send a text to 773-763-9278, and we'll send you the link. So there you go. That's what's happening out there, guys. All right. Before Kristen comes on in a few minutes and we take this next break, let me just share a couple things that came across the Richard Chew news desk. So we'll see what happens there. I think I said Roy Cooper. I meant to say Roy Cooper. Sorry about that. Senator, soon to be, hopefully, Senator Cooper. The Republicans are, you guys, in the wake of this awful just tragedy of the Epstein files, if you will, the Republicans have decided, once again to take on a thing of distraction, and that is to try to drag Bill and Hillary Clinton in for, forcing their hand. They want to bring them in for testimony. And Bill and Hillary Clinton both said that, fine, but it should be public. But the Republicans have pushed back and saying, no, it's going to be private. It's going to be recorded. We know what the game is. First of all, it's a distraction, total distraction. Secondly, it is a way to continue to dirty up the Clintons and make it sound like, because this is, I'm going to bet you this. This is what part of what's going to come out of this. They're going to do these hearings with them. The Clintons have agreed to do it instead of, continue to go down this path and then be held in contempt of court and all the other garbage. And it would be the wet dream of many of the Republicans, particularly the one in the White House, to see Congress send out the necessary legal law enforcement, I should say, folks, to try to arrest Bill and Hillary Clinton. That would be the wet dream of the entire Republican Party. I'm just not being disrespectful or disgusting, but that would be. So they're making sure that they avoid that. But the part of this that a lot of people who are cheering for that to be the case don't understand and don't recognize how our judicial system works is now that they have agreed. Let's be honest, the Clintons are not stupid attorneys. They're pretty damn smart when it comes to the legal process. They know it pretty well. And I know that a lot of folks on the left have said, we don't care who's in the Epstein files, blah, blah, blah. Just because someone is in the Epstein files doesn't mean that they were raping young girls and children. Let's be honest. So let's stop that as Democrats going, we don't care who's in the Epstein files. Well, we should care who's in the Epstein files. But more importantly, we should care what they are in the Epstein files for. Now, there's, and I'm not drawing a thing to give any excuse. I'm saying stop saying that. We should care what's in the Epstein files and what information is there that will lead us to what people did. That's what we should care about, not who's in the Epstein files. We have to start to discipline ourselves when it comes to certain things that, again, I say may not necessarily be our language. I care what's in the files, not necessarily who's in the files. Because what's in the files is evidence. Who's in the files is not necessarily evidence unless there is information and data that shows them doing the thing that the evidence represents. Do you guys understand that? I read a lot of legal stuff, lots of it. That's how the ball bounces. The other part of this, and then we'll go to break, that this does by Bill and Hillary, testifying, is someday, y'all, Donald Trump is not going to be in the White House. He will be a private citizen again. And what this does, Republicans, and all those people out there that are cheering on this House Oversight Committee for dragging Bill and Hillary in, what this does is it sets a precedent for bringing in, it sets up a really kind of a precedent that says, we've done this before. You can never say, that this whole thing about you can't do this, you can't do that because he or she's president. Well, now guess what it does? It says that a former president, which Trump will be someday, can be brought in. Right? Think about that. Y'all get me? Y'all follow me? We've been leaning on this. Well, you can't do that because he's a president or he's got immunity. The precedent right now, think about it. Just watch. Says that now that you're dragging in a former president and first lady, guess what? Down the road, when there's different powers in place, they can drag in a former president and his first lady. Think about that. So this overreach by Republicans in this space may come back to bite them in the backside. And with that being said, we're going to take a quick break. 773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back. WCPT 820 will be hosting a candidate forum for the 3 leading candidates for Illinois' open United States Senate seat in the Democratic primary on February 6th.
Please join us at the Plumbers Hall at 1340 West Washington in Chicago, or listen to the live broadcast.
Representative Raja Krishnamurthy, Representative Robin Kelly, and Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton will be discussing their stances on the issues and making their case for your vote.
WCPT hosts Patty Vasquez, Richard Chu, and of course Jonas Esposito will be moderating the forum.
To attend in person, go to heartlandsignal.com/WCPT820 and register. We'll have limited seats available, so please register early.
Meet the leading Senate Democratic candidates at a free WCPT Live Candidate Forum at Plumbers Union Hall, Local 130 on Washington Street in Chicago, Friday, February 6th.
The forum starts at 1 p.m. and is sponsored by Plumbers Union Local 130 and Iron Workers Local 63.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see cloudy skies here for today with temperatures holding rather steady. Northwest winds around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, cloudy and low near 16. By Thursday, a slight chance for some snow. We'll see cloudy skies, high 31 degrees. Friday, a slight chance for snow early on, mostly cloudy, high of 39. By Saturday, mostly sunny skies, high around 29 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 22.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu.
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show, and thanks for hanging out with us this morning. Our next guest is someone that's been with us before, Executive Director of Fair Share America. I talked with Governor Mandela, former Lieutenant Governor and candidate for governor in Wisconsin, Mandela Barnes, yesterday. We talked about the whole idea of fair balance of our economy, but also how our taxes are structured, who gets taxed how and in which ways. With us this morning, of course, is Kristen Crowell, who is the Executive Director of none other than Fair Share America. Good morning, Kristen, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Richard, and thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. Happy February. I guess should I say happy 2026, or here we are?
We made it to February. January felt dicey, right? So here we are, and the fight continues, and we made it to February.
That's probably a way of looking at it. We made it to February. It's unfortunately sad and trying that we have to say it that way, but that's what we do as fighters. We keep fighting. We keep looking for that crack of light in the tunnel as sort of a way to keep moving forward and a direction to go. Without I shouldn't say rehashing, without going back in the short wayback machine of January. January was a hellscape with all that happened, with 2 people being assassinated, or one murdered, one assassinated, an invasion of a country to grab their president, and and the list unfortunately goes on. But Kristen, I know you've been busy this new year. You've got a lot on your plate in 2026. Last time we talked in the latter part of last year, you were like me, we're getting welled up for what we want to get done this year. What's at the top of your list right now, a top couple of things that you're looking at and saying, okay, with all the influence that I have and the people that I know and all that I'm talking with, what's really big on your list right now, the things that you're putting the most amount of attention to?
Well, we're looking at this year and kind of breaking it down into bite-sized chunks, if you will. But this first, what's on deck this month and in February and in March is that, the president will be giving his State of the Union later this month on February 24th. And what we saw last year and what we anticipate is the Republican spin machine in motion. And so we're gearing up to do a pre-buttal. We love a good town hall, as you know. And so Fair Share and our partners are hosting our State of the Union on Monday, the night before the official State of the Union, to really make sure that the lies are debunked by what the lived reality of the American public is right now. And we'll be hosting a town hall in Washington, D.C. We will have it live streamed. And everyday Americans from across the country will be coming together to make sure that, the impacts of the one ugly bill are being litigated, and that we are holding these folks front and center accountable for taking away health care, for cutting the food assistance. And honestly, we talk about the ICE explosion and the invasion of our government on our people. That's money that came out of the one big ugly bill. The $75 billion of extra money that could have been spent on health care for millions of Americans is now funding a rogue government agency wearing masks, terrorizing our citizens, kidnapping our neighbors. And, even though, what is going on in Minnesota right now today is still as horrible as it was 2 weeks ago. The administration moved Bovino out, but the terrorist regime and the occupation of Minneapolis is not over. And it's our job to remind people that this administration took our money and funded things that are not in our interest. And so first, it's continuing to litigate how this administration spends our tax dollars. It's a reminder that the billionaires, there were a record number of new billionaires in this country created last year, Richard. That's not an accident. That was a policy choice tied to the $1 trillion giveaway in the one big ugly law. And then in March, we are anticipating, Trump's budget for 2026. And I don't expect him to do a 180. His corporate friends and his allies we're going to see more bad things for everyday and working people. And of course, all of this is really changing the way we live. It's making our lives more expensive. It's making it harder to get through the day. It's harder to put food on the table. Our electricity bills. Nationwide, we're seeing an average of nearly 7% increase over last year. These aren't accidents. These aren't just atmospherical things that are happening because it's hard times. These are policy choices that these Republicans enabled this president to go and do to all of us. And we're not going to stop reminding, educating, and holding, those in power in Washington, D.C. accountable. And then, of course, it's a midterm year, right? So sorry, I'll let
No. Go, because that's why I asked the question, because I'm making notes as you're talking. Keep going.
Well, and then of course this sets up the conditions of what are we litigating in the midterms, and what we've seen in a really, I think, powerful way. And even this last week, we saw in Washington, D.C., Democrats are really united in standing up to this. We saw this in one big, beautiful bill. Not a single House Democrat voted to enable any of this nonsense. We are seeing this in the ongoing fight with the DHS budget, which is a separate, it's one of 5 pieces of the federal budget that Democrats were able to get pulled out of the regular process and voted against. And of course, DHS is the budget that is funding ICE right now. And so we're in a moment where these choices that are being made by Washington politicians, they will be litigated by the American public this November. And Fair Share America is going to hold everyone accountable, continuing to remind people how we got here, and then work very hard in the election to make sure that we're not just saying go vote for, in our electoral side and our C4 side saying go vote for Democrats, but no, like what are Democrats doing to cast a different vision and commit to the American public that if they have power in 2027, that things will be significantly different. And so it's a challenge, but it's also the opportunity to get off of the Donald Trump playbook and into our own narrative and start delivering back to the American public.
You said that those words, our own narrative. I was saying earlier, I've said this a bunch of times in recent weeks, that we have to stop taking our marching orders, our notes, our thoughts, our points of importance from Republican-esque or Republican talking points. And I think that rather than our Democratic leaders being reactionary, we should be out in front more often and taking the lead, even without having the numbers in the House or in the Senate. And I think that that's where a lot of people are asking for leadership to be unyielding, with that, no bend at all on issues inside of budgets and certainly individual votes that come up, to not give anything. We may not get the win of the vote because we don't have the numbers, but stay in line as a caucus. And so that's what I know you're hearing that because you spend so much time there. But I hear that every day from listeners and followers that we want.
That's right.
That want the leaders to be more. We want the leaders to be more willing to just stay in lockstep for the purposes of keeping the caucus together, to show that new direction that the Democratic Party has got to go, and so that when we are back in power, House and potentially Senate, that they don't walk through the same process of kind of going along and making it nice and easy for Republicans. I want Democrats to make it hard as hell for Republicans if they take back the House. I want them to and I don't mean this in a mean way, but to make it hard for them. To walk in with the ability to say, we're going to do this. We're not going to ask your permission for it. We're going to bring to the floor the things that people voted us back in power for, and not wait until middle of next year of 2027 to do it. On day one,
that's right.
Walk in the door. I mean, like, Kristen, if you and me and 8 other people were in the leadership roles, I would want to have, between Election Day, certainly before that, but certainly Election Day until not Inauguration Day, but Swearing In Day, have everything laid out. So the next that afternoon, we're dropping the hammer right then, not 2 weeks or a month later, but right then. That's what the Democrats have got to do this time around. They cannot wait. And that can be, tell me what your thoughts are, that can be part of the Democratic strategy in running over these next few months, is that when we walk in the door, we're changing things. And here's what we're changing. I don't know. Call me crazy.
It must be. It must be, because anything less is insufficient for the level of suffering and harm that this current administration has done. And it cannot just be, what are we going to put on our mail pieces, or what are we going to say in our ads? We actually have to go on offense in the policy arena. And we see this, we saw this in our canvassing. We saw this in our town halls. This is no longer a Democrat versus Republican voter saying, the Democrats want this, the Republicans want this. This is the majority of Americans, which means, again, folks that voted for Donald Trump are now saying, oh, they screwed my family too. They lied to us. So we want to vote for policies that change our lives. So we can't just say the things. We have to have an action plan. It has to be on day one. And, one thing that we saw in, I don't know, the last 10 days is you see some cracks. And we hear about the cracks in the Republican caucuses behind closed doors, but you see them when a Murkowski and a Collins vote with the Democrats around this DHS funding. So new leadership, assuming Democrats can capture the election, and if they run hard on affordability, tying it back to how we got here, it's not.
Yeah, explain.
Like
Okay,
said,
so
right.
Kristen, explain that. Let me just do this. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We're talking with the Executive Director of Fair Share America, Kristen Crowell. Kristen, tie back that, which you were just, because I think a lot of people can miss that in terms of running for office, getting into office, and making that point about this is what we're going to do, but here's how we got here, and here's how do that. Do your thing.
Well, if the buzzword of 2026 is affordability, which it is, I hear it everywhere, and it's true. The cost of living for average and working people has skyrocketed. But it's not an accident. These are policy choices, and so any candidate or anyone that's talking to folks, if we don't tie this affordability crisis to how we got here, which is that big corporations and the wealthy got huge tax breaks that caused costs to go up, the tariff policies that the Trump administration put on food and agriculture and lumber, and it's not an accident that we are paying more because rich people rigged the system and they created laws that benefit them and hurt us. And so to me, we're going to hear a lot about affordability, but it has to be in the context of this bill, that the tax code that we are living in undergirds every single choice that we wake up and are living with. And it is the biggest way that we can fix this country is by going right back to the table and getting our money back. And again, going back to a governing agenda on day one, this must be the thing, because if we go at the federal budget, it unlocks resources across all different sectors. It puts money back in the pockets of working people. And, we've talked about this before on your show, what is going on at the state legislative level and the budget crises that we are seeing states experience. Again, the federal budget and the federal tax code touches all of it. So Democrats have to understand that, or anyone, but, we'll pick on the Democrats for a moment. You can't just talk about, yes, your costs went up. Well, it went up because the system's rigged, and the system's rigged because the billionaire class has hijacked politics and written laws that benefit them at our expense. It's the trade-off is, you can see the map, $75 billion to beef up ICE while 16 million Americans are losing health care. ACA premiums in the shutdown fight at the end of last year could not be funded, policy choice. And 1.2 million Americans did not re-enroll in the marketplace. These aren't accidents. This isn't just like, wow, what a weird year. All this stuff went off the rails. No, the One Big Beautiful Bill drove a hole through our economy, threw working families in our communities under the bus. We created record numbers of billionaires, record number of corporate profits, who, by the way, if you're watching how many thousands of workers are being laid off by the same companies that have record profits and record tax cuts, it's despicable. They do not care about the American public. And that's the story that has to be front and center. And if we fight for real, if Democrats who hold power or candidates that want power, it can't just be about saying the right thing. You have to deliver. Because the other truth of the matter is, if you look at the polling, it's not like the Democratic Party has made the leap in the polling. We are polling for elected officials on the Democratic side isn't great either. So you have to deliver. You have a political mandate and you have a moral mandate to change the lives for for folks who are in the streets right now, right? Like, I know so many people who have multiple jobs, who have kids, and who are the ones defending our democracy. They are the ones doing the hard work. So elected officials who wear nice suits and go to fancy dinners, you owe us. You owe us to get in there and work your butts off, because we're doing it too. We are all doing this good group project called democracy. So don't just say nice things. Go do nice things.
Go do great things. Yeah. You know, I mean, right now, and I like the way you put that in terms of go do nice things rather than just look nice and be nice. And I think that's, I don't think, I say this sometimes just to be as fair as I can. I know that the people who are asking for this are going to be turned off even further if things don't get delivered on. And I know that that's also part of what the Republicans are pushing for, is to create, I mean, President Obama used the word brinksmanship. That hasn't gone away. Republicans want that to be, or are using that as one of their tools to keep the Democrats off balance, so that once they are back in power, that they aren't capable of getting things done. That's unacceptable this time around. It should have been acceptable before, and maybe we as individuals didn't push hard enough for it to be unacceptable. But this time around, it is completely that way. And that's why I like what you were saying about, and I've been saying my version of it, so I see that there's some connection here. We have to make certain that there is a plan that's executable on day one. And we have Friday, we're doing a Senate forum, candidate forum here in Chicago for Dick Durbin's seat. Raja Krishnamurthy is going to be there. Robin Kelly is going to be there, and Lieutenant Governor Stratton is going to be there. And one of the things that I want to know, and one of the things that is important to so many people across the country, not just here in Illinois, what is it on day one you're going to do, be ready to do when you walk in the door? Because that's what people are going to be following and watching. What did they walk in the door and instruct their staff, instruct their people all across their office? We're working on this. What are you talking to your other senators or other Congress members about what we've got to get done right now? And again, I go back to something I said a moment ago, and you kind of said it as well. It has to be part of their campaign, and it has to be really, really simple for folks to understand and go, yeah, that's what I want to see happen. And to your point, Christian, nobody else is really talking about it this way, and this is why I appreciate your sort of exposure of it. No one's really talking about the reason. There is a reason we're here. It's not by accident. We didn't just stumble into it. It's been a planned effort. And the big ugly bill from last summer, which you were all over the country on a beautiful green bus talking about, is the tip of the spear item that got us where we are these last 9 months or so. So let's highlight that, Democrats. Let's make sure we're talking about that, Democrats.
And the good news is, good news good news is such a funny thing to say. In the context of a political campaign, if I'm a consultant or I'm an operative or a consulting candidate, just look at the polling. This is the most unpopular piece of legislation in the history of the country. The American public is with you if you go out and litigate it in this context. It's not like, ooh, this is a hard one. We don't know how our constituents or our voters are going to respond. No, they're with us. They have said in poll after poll after poll, this remains the most unpopular. We just have to talk about it. We have to remind people. And one of the things that was said after the big terrible was passed in July last year is like, well, I got this question all the time. Like, well, do you think voters and constituents are going to forget? And I was like, absolutely not. This is so bad and so big. But you have to stand there
and keep reminding
as elected and can connect the dots and say, this is the fight. The fight is about the money, because they took it, and they took our health care, and they took our food assistance, and they took our Pell Grants, and they made it harder for us to put food on the table and pay our bills.
And people literally, Kristen, have died. I mean, as a result of this, people
Yes.
and not just, and not to take away anything from Miss Good or from Mr. Pretty, who were killed by ICE agents, and as an indirect part of the funding that ICE has. I mean, and the other people's lives, and that are the names that we don't even know, the children that have been dragged to detentions. The list goes on. People
3,000 children are in detention centers. 3,000 right now.
And
that
so
we're paying for. Our money is
that we're
for.
paying for.
Yes.
To what end?
Yes.
My neighborhood hasn't gotten any safer or worse because of ICE. It's because of what Chicago police have done and the Cook County police have done and other structures to make my neighborhood safe. It's not because of anything that ICE has done. If anything, it's made it. There's been some tentativeness by people that live in my neighborhood because they are the same folks that are kind of concerned about should they go out their door. That's what's actually happened. So tie that back to this bill.
Yeah.
Tie that back to the Republicans that voted for it. And that to me is good political messaging. And then deliver on these
and then
items.
What are you for? What are you going to do about it?
Right.
And what's our correction for this?
Be
Because
against
it's
something,
solvable.
and then what am I going to do about making it better, making it right? I know somebody that's. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I know somebody that's doing something about it. Her name is Kristen Crowell, and she's the executive director of Fair Share America. 2 words, y'all, fair share. We're not asking billionaires and big corporations and wealthy, uber wealthy people to do any more than. We're saying that they've got to do their fair share, and the fair share has to be redefined. Kristen, we always appreciate having you on the show. Your State of the Union.
It's a great way to start the morning.
Well, thank you. Your State of the Union, one more time, is on the 23rd.
23rd of February. It's a Monday evening. It will be live streamed from our website, and it is our pre-buttal, if you will. We know that this administration is going to spin a bunch of lies. They're going to have all the cameras, but we're going to get ahead of this and make sure that people from all over this country get to say out loud in public how this bill has harmed them, how this last year went for real people, working people, our community members. And we'll have more on that on our website.
Yeah, I was going to say what I want you to do.
On our socials.
What I want you to do is on Friday, if you can remember, and I'll remind you off here, on the previous Friday and then that morning and over the course of the weekend, make sure you've sent me everything again because I want to talk about it on that Friday, and then we'll talk about it again that Monday morning so people are aware, okay?
Absolutely.
Kristen Crowell, y'all, thanks for hanging out with us this morning. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk to you real soon, okay?
Thanks, Richard. Stay safe out there.
You too. Bye-bye now. All right, Henry, let's take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. You are listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 here in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM, 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Check up on health with Chris Whitting.
How much of a role does a parent have as to whether their child suffers from depression? Autumn Kajawa is the director of the Mood, Emotion, and Development Lab at Vanderbilt University.
We tend to see 25 to 30% heritability in terms of the genetic component there. So there is an aspect of depression that's genetic, but that's not explaining all of depression. And we know a lot of it is also shaped by environmental experiences and factors. And when we think about parental depression, we know that offspring of depressed parents are about 2 to 3 times more likely to develop depression themselves. And so part of that is genetics, but also a lot of that is about the environment too, in terms of growing up in a family where a parent struggles with depression and seeing some of the emotional aspects that might go along with that.
With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
File with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. Former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton have finalized an agreement with House Republicans to testify in a House investigation into Jeffrey Epstein, bowing to the threat of a contempt of Congress vote against them. Hillary Clinton will testify before the House Oversight Committee on February 26th, and Bill Clinton will appear on February 27th. A deal has been reached between lawyers for victims of Jeffrey Epstein and the Justice Department. The agreement is meant to protect the identities of nearly 100 women whose lives were allegedly harmed after the government began releasing millions of documents last week. One said the release of the records was life-threatening, while another said she'd gotten death threats and was forced to shut down her credit cards and banking accounts after their security was jeopardized. In other news, AP correspondent Lawrence Brooks reports on the latest round of talks in the United Arab Emirates over ending the Russia-Ukraine war.
Envoys from Russia and Ukraine are set to meet in Abu Dhabi for another round of US-brokered talks on ending the almost 4-year war. The delegations are expected to be joined by US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and President Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner. Officials say last month's talks in the United Arab Emirates capital yielded some progress but no breakthrough on key issues. The latest talks are being held amid Ukrainian outrage over major Russian attacks on its energy system. A recent overnight bombardment included hundreds of drones and a record 32 ballistic missiles, wounding at least 10 people. It came despite Ukraine's understanding that Russian President Vladimir Putin had told Trump he would temporarily halt strikes on Ukraine's power grid. I'm Lawrence Brooks.
More information at apnews.com. This is AP News. Investigators found signs of forced entry at the Tucson, Arizona home of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's missing 84-year-old mother.
That's according to a person familiar with the investigation who spoke to the Associated Press. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos says Nancy Guthrie did not leave that home on her own, and they have processed it as a crime scene.
We look for things like that: blood, DNA, any kind of physical evidence, fingerprints, anything.
He adds,
so far that what we found from that lab is nothing that would tell us this is who did this.
He wouldn't answer questions about a kidnapping or ransom. Meanwhile, FBI Special Agent John Edwards says they're assisting.
The FBI is doing everything in our power to bring Nancy Guthrie home.
Savannah Guthrie is asking for prayers. Authorities say her mother takes life-saving medication, which she has been without and needs. I'm Julie Walker.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see cloudy skies here for today with temperatures holding rather steady. Northwest winds around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, cloudy and a low near 16. By Thursday, a slight chance for some snow. We'll see cloudy skies, high 31 degrees. Friday, a slight chance for snow early on, mostly cloudy, high of 39. By Saturday, mostly sunny skies, high around 29 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 22.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can choose the best coverage option for you. Because you know you. Like, you know you can't cook. You're not one of those people who say that they can, but when people come over for dinner, they find out the hard way, you can't. You can't even microwave popcorn, and that's literally just one button. Plus, measuring and patience are huge parts of cooking, and that's just not you. Only you know you. So get coverage options within your budget with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey guys, welcome back, and thank you for being with us this morning. Today on Live, Local, and Progressive, Joan Esposito will be taking your calls and talking to Tamar Jacoby, contributor, the Washington Monthly, and Kiev-based director of Progressive Policy, the Progressive Policy Institute's New Ukraine Project. She is dynamite. You got to tune in to that segment. I've had her on the show. I've had her on my show, and she's just great to talk to and so well informed. Talking about Ukraine, Chris Byery will be also with Jones, senior journalist in residence at DePaul University. Greg Hines, columnist at the Crane Chicago Business, and Ray Long, Chicago Tribune investigative reporter. Live, Local, and Progressive, weekdays 2 to 5 here on WCPT, heartlandsignal.com, and tune in. And then tonight on Driving It Home, Patty Vasquez will be joined by Owen O'Sullivan, freelance journalist based in Copenhagen, or Copenhagen, depending on how you like to say it. And Stephanie Miller, host of The Stephanie Miller Show, weekdays 8 to 11, right here following my show here on WCPT. And in hour 2, Patty joins up with joins the Up North podcast with Minocqua Brewing Company. Contributors Kirk Bankstead, Ben Cominos, Amy Thomas, and more. It's Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7 here on WCPT, Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And then Thursday on my show here, Choose Views, my guest will be Virginia Lieutenant Governor Ghazala Hashmi. We've had her. We had an interview with her right after the elections in November, so that's going to be really a lot of fun to talk to her again. And James Gaillard, who is a senior pastor at World Tabernacle Church in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and candidate for North Carolina Senate. Dr. Thomas Fisher, candidate for Congress in the 7th Congressional District of Illinois. So there you go. Check us out. Make sure you're plugged in. And as you guys know by now, we've got our Senate candidate forum with Raja Krishnamurthy, Juliana Stratton, and Robin Kelly happening this Friday, Friday, February 6th at 1 p.m. I'll be moderating the forum along with Joan and Patty, and we'll be broadcasting live here on WCPT, streaming on TuneIn, heartlandsignal.com, and Facebook Live. The candidate forum is sponsored by Plumbers Union Local 130 and Iron Workers Local 63. So there you go, guys. All right, it's Wednesday, and what does that mean? It means that our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63, who I say it all the time because it's true, just puts out so much wonderful, wonderful information. And as always, I'd like to welcome Kurt. Good morning to the show. Hope you're doing well, my friend.
Good morning, Richard. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, given where we are, like Kristen said, you know, we made it to February, and that might be kind of our our mode of saying things until we get to the midterms, and with some successes along the way. We get to 1 month and we refuel for the next month. But yeah, I'm good, man. I'm one of the things that keeps me good, Kurt, and I've said this to you in private, is I feel a responsibility to be here and to do the show, to do the work, and bring as best I can every day to everybody, because I realize how many people out there are just, they're holding on. They're staying, they're tying that knot in the proverbial rope again and again to hold on, to get us to a better place. And you are one of those voices that is making things happen, and you're making such a big mark in Indiana, but people from all over the country are checking out what you're doing. So being good is easy when I've got folks like you to have on the show, folks like yesterday, Lavora Barnes and Qasim Rashid, who I know you've communicated with. What an amazing dude, both of those guys. But but man, as I said to Qasim, unapologetically saying what he's right about. So he told me, he said, Richard, I'm going to have to steal that one. I kind of like that. I went, well, you can have it. But no, man, I
appreciate the kind words, man. But you know, I don't think you realize how much we appreciate you. And I know I'm speaking for more than just myself. So thank you for what you do and giving us a platform to share our views. And the one thing I like about you is that you cover, you go from Kasha to Kurt. You know, I mean, you just don't focus on the popular voice. You focus on voices, period, and all levels of society, and that's a wonderful thing, because I think people need to hear from all levels. You know, I know that's one of the ways I'm able to touch people is because they realize I'm just a dude from Indiana, just speaking my voice. So.
Well, Kurt,
we appreciate that. So,
and thank you for saying that, and I appreciate it back, because that's ultimately when you think about, let's say, let's go back to what Kristen was saying earlier about people who are struggling and people who have been left behind, and all the other denotations, if you will, about how people are feeling right now and have been feeling for a long, long time. I think it's because, well, let me phrase this a little differently. my position on that is we do have to pay attention to everybody because everybody matters. If one person ain't making it, then that means potentially everybody could not be making it. And I mean that. And so that's part of my belief about all this is that we do have to look out for everybody. And, you know, as a black dude, I could have a whole different perspective about things in this country. But I've made a decision to say, if I'm going to represent something that is about us all, quote unquote, as whoever's children, people like to say, as God's children, whatever it is. But if we're all going to be in this thing, then I'm going to do my part to be in it and bring as many people along as I possibly can. So, you know, we're going to talk to the
I think, yeah, that's a difference in human beings. I think there's a group of us, and I'm not even going to put a political label on it, but there's a group of people on Earth that feel that if there's some, injustice or a group of people are being suppressed or they're being silenced or they're being harmed in any way, it affects all of us. And then there's a group of people that, well, if it doesn't affect me, I don't care. And so, and I think that's the difference in so many of us that, it doesn't have to, I don't have to be in Minneapolis or I don't have to be in Atlanta, Georgia, or I don't have to be in Texas to understand that what's happening affects all of us and hurts all of us. So, I think that's the difference in the mindset.
It is. I think it is, for me at least. I'm not going to speak for everybody else. I'll speak for me and with the ones that I know that think a little bit this way. It is a choice. I make a conscious decision to say, even in my worst of times and when I am PO'd at, 1,000, I still have to find a way to help. I still have to find that in me. That to me is, when we talk about, this whole conversation around, masculinity and being a strong man and all those things that are out there in our universe, for me, the strongest thing I can do as a man is to slow myself down and say, how can I help? Because no matter what it's kind of like, I put this in the vein, not that I'm trying to be like her, but I can put in the vein of respect. When Vice President Harris said that when she would open her opening statements at a case and representing someone, she would say Kamala Harris for the people. And I'm not trying to be like her. I'm just saying that resonated with me because I look at how I have to discipline myself and say, what am I doing each day to help somebody that I know or that I may not know or that I may come across? And so slow myself down and be able to pay attention to that so that we can bring along the Kurt Mulletts of the world and the Qasim Rasheeds of the world and the Kristen Crowells and all the rest. We can keep bringing along people who may have been left along the sidelines, not because of anything that they did, but because of the circumstances that life can drop in their lap sometime.
Well, being able to do that and say those things and fight the fight without being recognized for it takes a different type of mindset also. There's we live in a society where people need to be recognized for achievements and for what they do. We have this ego out there that everybody wants to, look at me, look at what I did. And it's the people, I've come to a realization over time, and it took me a long time to understand this. I affect a lot of people that I will never hear about or know about. So that's humbling in so many ways, and it's not about an ego fluff, and so many of these dudes are all about that, and it's just another difference. You said being a man. What about being a human?
Yeah, I hear you.
That's what it's all about.
I hear you.
It's this masculinity thing. Come on.
Yeah.
You want my 50 cents? You want my lunch money? Come take it from me, big boy. That's what this is. That's who these dudes are.
Yeah, I know. And they
we've
show
all faced it in our lives.
Yeah, we definitely have. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we are talking with our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. Hey, Kurt, real quick, man. One of the things I wanted to say about what you and I are talking about, and then I want to ask you two other questions that I don't want to forget to ask you today. Eric Grant, who hosts the family meeting, talks about this oftentimes, not left, not right, not even the middle, but permanent interest. And we've talked about this a lot over the years on the family meeting. Permanent interest supersedes party. It's irrespective of where even you sit in the party. What are the permanent interests? What are the things that are important to all of us, or should be important to most of us? And that's also kind of where I find a good comfort in saying, is this something that's going to be beneficial to the majority of people, right? That we encounter, and that maybe that we don't encounter. And I think that right now, the opportunities for the Democratic Party, whether you're far left, in the middle of the left, or in the center of the left, the opportunity for the Democratic Party at large in these elections coming up is to talk about what's like Kristen said, what's important to all of us, or certainly most of us. And I think that gets kind of into that, what Eric talks about so often, the permanent interest that we all would hopefully be looking at and leaning into. So anyhow, just I wanted to sort of tie that into the conversation. All right, man. So listen, yes.
Here we go.
Here we go, yo. But it's in a good way.
Yeah.
So listen, yesterday I had Qasim on, and we talked about his great article that he posted on Substack about Black History Month. And you've heard me these last 3 days. I've had a clip from someone that's posted something on social media. And the title of his article is "My Ask of Non-Black People is this Black History Month." And it really gets into two primary things, and that's sort of the basis of my question. Listen and take action. You posted some really cool things as well about Black History Month. So I just kind of wanted to ask you, in your own words, what does Black History Month mean or has meant to you?
It's American history. It's about all of us. It's recognizing, achievements of a sector of people who have not been given their just recognition, just due as far as the achievements that have been accomplished by them over a lifetime. But it's also just accepting all of us as being human and saying, why is this? It's understanding what white privilege is. It's understanding, the history of our country. And that's something that's always been very important to me. People don't understand the contributions that Black Americans have made in defining who we are today and what we are all about today. So, that's a deep question, and there's so many things that,
Because I know you don't live it just on the month itself, and I know that we're in Black History Month, so my question was kind of a very, very narrow question, and I recognize that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's why I wanted to ask you. I saw a couple of things that you had posted in terms of things that you've read and talking about human rights, and how that over the course of our lifetimes, our human rights have been constantly tampered with and constantly pulled at to eliminate some of the dignities that we should, as you said a moment ago, human rather than just man. And that's also tied into Black history, and celebrating and recognizing, Black history is about celebrating and recognizing American history, the not so good,
exactly,
and the very, very good. And I think that's sometimes what happens in this conversation is that people forget that, and that's why I've said it for me, it's 365. Black history is every day of the year.
Every day of the year.
Because it's American history. And that's not forsaking any other community. And you've gotten after people. I've watched you and some of your stuff. You've gotten after people when they've said, see, you know where I'm going. When people have said, well, what about this community? What about these people? And you've made it really clear. I ain't talking about that right now. I'm talking about this right now. But it doesn't take away from anybody else's life. But at the same time, like Representative Jean Wu down in Texas has said, the communities that have benefited from Black history and Black excellence is all of communities in America. So, it's
people that don't understand the history of our country. And I, look, I'm not trying to be critical of people who don't know history, but people who don't know our history shouldn't be talking about it, okay? When you really don't understand our history, you should not be talking about it. It's just like talking about the Chicago Cubs and not even understanding baseball whatsoever or whatever the topic may be. If you don't know about it, just shut up about it, okay? Because you're not helping things by throwing out some stupidity. And this is what Trump does. I mean, if you watch him, this guy doesn't have knowledge, okay? He doesn't understand anything. This dude was, born into, under a father who was a tyrant and a millionaire and was only concerned about money and has fought his entire life to be recognized. That's who this guy is, and that's what MAGA is all about. MAGA are people who are trying to be recognized because they have been overlooked and not paid attention to their entire lives. And we've talked about this before, but, so when people talk about Black history, it's a shame that we have to have a Black History Month and we can't just talk about it and have it be part of our society on an everyday basis. But it's also great that we have a Black History Month because now we get an opportunity, and I talk about it all the time, but now we get an opportunity to, really spotlight and highlight some great people that have contributed over the years from the Black community. And
tick off some people, and tick off some of the other people, as well. I've been going down this, who started the KKK thing, and I've made some posts about this and everything because it's always been the Democrats, and people are just stupid, and I could say these things, and I know I offend people when I say this, but there's some stupid hillbillies out there that just don't understand, well, it was the Democrats that started the KKK. Well, no, it was Confederate soldiers. So actually what you're saying is that the Confederacy, if the Confederacy was a bunch of Democrats, then the Confederacy was a liberal ideology nation that, they don't want any part of that, Kurt. Come on, man. You hurting people's feelings. White dude from Indiana.
Like, are you kidding me? Yeah. It's like, are you kidding? And, I know the Civil War in that time frame. Don't go there with me. I mean, it's just, besides the fact that the KKK was not a political organization, okay? So, I don't know. I couldn't have been a teacher. I couldn't have been a teacher because I wouldn't have had the patience, so.
Well,
anyway.
one of the things, you could have been. You could, you just would have. I guess. You would have been in parent teacher conferences a lot because you would have been the one. You would have been the dude. You would have been the principal, the teacher that would have been in the principal's office more than students in your class would have been in the principal's office, because I could just see it over the intercom, the loudspeaker. Excuse me, but Mr. Mullett, could you come down to the principal's office? And your students would have been laughing their behinds off like, oh, here he goes again. He ticked off some student, ran home to mommy and daddy, and now their parents are in the principal's office wanting to dress down Professor Mullett about something that he said that was the truth. That's what would have happened. You would have had you would have had there would have been a chair in the principal's office that was said that would have had your name on it, because you would have been your seat that nobody else could sit in. But you know what? Here's the thing about that when it comes to history and truth and dealing with facts. you would have proudly walked your fanny down to the principal's office to talk to those parents about what their children should be, what should be the expectation of their children to do better. And I can bet for sure that you would have proudly said, yeah, I guess I'm back down there again, but I'm going to keep speaking the truth to the children, because it's our goal should be to educate them on the things that are outside of their normal, area of learning. So yeah, that would have been fun to watch. I would have loved to have been one of the other teachers in the school, going like, "Oh damn, you pissed off another children's parents." So too funny, man. Too funny.
I think that's what we're, what I'm trying to do with some people that I've locked shoulders with and locked arms with, I should say, is trying to educate and change the path of how we think about politics and politicians and who we're voting for and what they all are about. And we shouldn't just be looking at a name. We need to dig into these people and find out, where are they getting their funding from? Who are they, who have they worked for? What are their beliefs in? Are they just going to stand up there and tell us about affordability, or are they actually going to talk about something and what their plans are to do, are to change things and to make them different? And I think the younger generation, I'm inspired by it, because I think they're starting to understand that it's their future that's on the line, and they're starting to get more and more involved. And I'm encouraged by seeing some of the candidates that are coming forward, and some of the younger generations getting involved. It's a great time for an old man to see this, and this is part of what we have to do to make change. And it's going to be a process. It's not going to happen overnight.
No.
But we have to take steps and let people understand that, this is how we are going to do it. We're starting at the local level, and, we're going to go from there. So.
Yeah, and there are signs. Kristen said it earlier. You're saying it now. There are signs. We just have to pay attention and keep repeating the things that have been successful in these last few months when it comes to not only the elections, but the campaigns and what people have been talking about that are running for office. So thank you, my man, as always. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Well, no, all we have to do is look at Tyler Remett's victory down in Texas. He took an area that has been predominantly red for years and years and years, that Trump won by 17 points, and this dude flipped it 14 points in his favor. So he 31 points.
Yeah.
And his opponent outspent him 10-1.
So ideas do matter, even with money matters, yes, or has influence, but ideas matter more.
Obviously. Case in point.
Yep.
Facts don't lie. Liars lie.
Liars lie. That's a ball cap, man. Facts don't lie, liars lie. That's another.
Yeah. I've got a lot of ball caps.
I know you. Why do you think I said it?
Yeah. I can't walk out in public with them, but hey,
Oh man. Brother Kurt, good to talk with you this morning. As always on a Wednesday, we all here at the studio look forward to it and really appreciate you hanging out with us as always. So.
Well, I appreciate you guys, every single one of you there. It's you're a great platform and you're a great group of people. So we appreciate the platform being shared with us.
Absolutely. Be well, my friend. We will talk again next Wednesday.
Buddy.
All right. We'll talk to you then. Kurt Mullett, Who's Your Blue 63, guys. Get with his work on social media, 773-763-9278. You are listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM, Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
This is Tony Moret. I'm an estate planning attorney who drafts living trusts and wills for my clients. You have probably heard my ads here on WCPT for the last few years. Your fellow listeners, when we have completed their plans, say, I wish I had done this sooner. It wasn't nearly as hard as I thought it would be. We can complete your estate plan within 30 days or less. There are certainly decisions that need to be made, but my 30-plus years of experience will help guide you through this process. There may never be a perfect time to start, but whenever I'm asked when is the best time, my answer is always the same. Now is the best time, while it is on your mind. Being able to tell your family that you have an estate plan in place, that all the details have been taken care of, will be a great relief to both yourself and those you care for the most. Our initial consultation is without charge, and there is no obligation. My phone number is 847-996-0496, and my website is moreelawoffice.com, spelled Moree. I look forward to speaking with you.
Excuse me, miss. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Can you recommend a bank that offers a full suite of commercial banking products along with excellent service?
Yes, ABOC.
What about a bank that has been in Chicago for more than 100 years and really understands the local business climate?
ABOC.
But I manage a labor union. Can you recommend a bank that really understands how labor unions operate and what banking products they need?
Again, ABOC. ABOC first opened its doors in downtown Chicago in 1922 and understands the local business climate better than anyone. ABOC was founded by labor unions and still has union employees and shareholders today, so they really understand how unions tick and how their needs may be different. But whether you're with a labor union or another type of business, whether you're large or small or something in between, ABOC will always make you feel like you're their most important customer. Visit ABOC.com to learn more.
Wow, thank you, random person on the street. I'm going to visit ABOC.com today.
Member FDIC.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see cloudy skies here for today with temperatures holding rather steady. Northwest winds around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, cloudy and a low near 16. By Thursday, a slight chance for some snow. We'll see cloudy skies, high 31 degrees. Friday, a slight chance for snow early on, mostly cloudy, high of 39. By Saturday, mostly sunny skies, high around 29 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 23.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
You're listening to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. I so appreciate everybody hanging with us, and most definitely my man Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blues 63. It's always fun to josh around with him, but in the middle of all that is the information that he shares and his commitment to making things better for so many people, and the work that he does with his platform is phenomenal. So I'm just always honored to have him with us. You guys know I say this all the time. It's a big part of my belief and feeling about where we are right now. It takes fighters. It takes people who have been elected to office, whether it be on a federal level, on a state level, or even as part of the head of an organization that has meaning and has impact. And we've got that bench. We've got people that they may have been in office and left office, and they're doing other great things. We have people who are part of local organizations. You know, we talk about that here in Chicago. But we got people all over the country that are just, they're fighters. And with us this morning is the former chair of the Michigan Democratic Party and current senior advisor to Democracy Defenders Action. And that would be Ms. Lavora Barnes. Good morning, Lavora, and welcome to Choose Views on WCPT.
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning. I'm sitting here with my cup of coffee.
Uh-oh, look at you. Like my big sister Linda, she says this to everybody. Don't mess with me until after I've had that first cup of coffee.
Exactly right. That's exactly right.
Don't even ask me what time of day it is without...
Nope.
If you don't know, look at the clock on the stove if you don't know if you're in the kitchen, and bring me a cup of coffee along the way. It's so great.
Every morning.
Yes, it's so great, Ms. Barnes, to chat with you, and I really appreciate you hanging out with us. You're one of those voices that, like so many others who have been chairs of party leadership, that you see things from I would say a very wide angle. I think about the fisheye lens, if you're into photography, but you see things from a wide perspective as a former chair. But talk a little bit about how you've seen things since Trump, came into office last January. What's been your observation, both inside as a former chair, or inside as a chair, and then now as a former chair with the other work? that you're doing with the Democracy Defenders Action?
You know, I have to say, I'm going to start by taking you back a little bit. I've been doing this work for such a long time. Before I was chair, I was working in politics as a campaign manager and an organizer, and I've been doing this work for a very long time. And I, like all of us, have never seen anything like Donald Trump before Donald Trump. And like a lot of people, I think when he first came on the scene, we didn't take him seriously. This was this guy with his weird gold escalator who'd been on TV, couldn't be serious. He doesn't really want to be president. And we've come all the way around to him not only wanting to be president, but becoming president twice now. And I think one of the things I talked about a lot after that first election in 2016 that he won was that we needed to look into the mirror that was in Michigan, the Michigan Democratic Party, and talk about what our role was in allowing that to happen. And we revamped the Michigan Democratic Party because of that and had a lot of success post that election. And I think in 2020, there's been a new kind of reckoning that maybe, and this is me sort of saying things that maybe some folks inside the party don't want to hear, but maybe our party hasn't quite picked up on the changes in this country, the changes in the way we should be choosing our candidates, the changes in the way we should be talking to voters, the fact that we should continue to be talking to voters all the time about the issues that are important to them, the fact that we can't just run against something, but we have to tell people what we are for. And I'm seeing, hints of that step up across the country with candidates running those kinds of races where they're very clear about the issues that are affecting the folks they are about to represent. The way the new mayor of New York talked about how rent's too damn high. The way those folks in Texas who just won talked about issues that were very central to what was going on in their communities, including education, while also pushing back on what's happening at the federal level, what's happening with ICE, the authoritarianism that's taken over. We have to be able to do both. We have to be able to walk and chew gum. We have to be able to protest ICE and also talk about the issues that affect everybody's day-to-day lives. And I want my party to get there. I think that we are working on it from inside, but there's a lot left to be done. And that's why organizations like Democracy Defenders are so important, because we spend a lot of time working on anti-election sabotage work, working on democracy defense work. And I'm on the C4 and the PAC side most of my time, and so we spend a lot of our energy talking to folks in the states, whether they are running for the offices that impact our elections, like Secretary of State or Attorney General or Supreme Court, or they're a state party or another organization that's trying to support free and fair elections, to make sure that they have the tools they need. We call ourselves gap fillers, right? Where there are gaps in the ecosystem that we feel like we can help fill, we fill them with the expertise of the folks on our team, whether it's former chairs like myself and Ben Wickler from Wisconsin, or it's former communications directors from the White House, or it's a whole bunch of lawyers. But we've got a great team of folks, and we just continue to fight the fight every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
listen.
Ask me a question.
I know. Well, listen. I'm so thrilled and honored to have you on, because I knew you were going to be able to drop the hammer on the things that we need. That's why I was asking the question around the what is it that's in that bandwidth, that 180-degree fisheye lens, because I know it's a lot. And one of my guests that's been on with us a number of times, and you may already know her or know of her, that I want to get you guys connected. And that's one of the things that I've been trying to do with the show, is connect folks that are doing the work so that they then know. Because listen, Ms. Barnes, you know that when people are out there working hard and doing it, sometimes you feel like you're out there by yourself. You may not be,
yeah.
But you may sometimes feel that way. One of the things that I've been trying to do is make sure that even the groups like yours, no, there's another group that y'all need to be connected, so that you get somebody else that's fighting the bigger fight, but maybe from a different angle. Kristen Crowell is the executive director of Fair Share America. She's the woman that had that bus going around the country. I think they went to 35 cities last June and July to push back on the big ugly bill. I want to get you guys connected, yes. So I'll make. Oh,
I would love that. Please do. Yes.
And she's a Midwesterner as well, so you know how we Midwesterners roll. But I'm going to make sure to get you guys connected. because you guys should be sharing data and information. And one of my favorite things is two strong women doing their thing. So I want to make sure to get you guys connected. That being said, you said something walking through. I was writing it down literally while you were saying it. God's honest truth. We have to be able to point, and Kristen said her version of this, the craziness, the awfulness, the stinkiness of this administration. We have to point that out. And we have to talk about what it is that we're going to do to make it better and different and make it lasting, because that's the other thing about it. It can't just be the one-off success. It's got to be lasting, because lasting, I believe, is what people buy into and they stay with. And so that's why I so appreciate that you said, we need to trash talk them because they deserve some trashy talk for how they're messing up our country. And we need to show why we're going to be better and what we're going to do to make it lasting. So thank you for reminding us of that and making it clear that that's one of the things that we've got to be willing to do. Let me ask you a question about something you said, and I wrote this down. You said how we choose looking carefully at how we choose our candidates. Okay, so talk a little bit about that in your experience as to what we've done not so well and what we've done well that we can now say, all right, that's our platform, and now let's go forward. Because you mentioned Mandami, you mentioned what's his name, Christian Kemet. I think I got that right down in Texas.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about what we haven't done well, and then what we can do well or are doing well that we need to keep repeating.
I think that we as a party are at our best when we allow the people who are the party to choose our candidates. And when the smoky back room put their fingers on the scale for candidates, we lose. So I think that where we can build systems that allow folks to participate, whether it's in primaries, whether it's in conventions, whatever it is, openly and freely, and choose the candidates to best represent them as Democrats, we get better candidates and we get winners. That means that we don't chase people out of primaries. If we, just because we've got a favorite son or daughter in that primary, we allow that primary to play out. I think primaries, for the most part, make for better general election candidates. They get to test out their messaging. They get to work hard at building an organization. If you can't build an organization and get yourself through a primary, how on earth are you going to win a general election? And I think that when we fail is when we've decided as what folks inside the Michigan Democratic Party often called us the establishment. But when we as the establishment fail is when we choose someone and then fingers on the scale to make sure that person wins. That's why when I was party chair, and Curtis Howe, who's followed me as party chair, is doing the exact same thing, our party apparatus stays out of all of the primary elections all the time in Michigan. We don't get involved. Even if it is, frankly, our incumbent, whoever, we stay out because we want the people to choose that candidate, and that candidate, I think, is a better candidate for it. The other thing I think we need to figure out how to do better is allow young people from walks of life that are different from perhaps our own, to become part of our process and part of our system. That's how we develop better candidates. That's how we develop young folks who want to run as Democrats, is to allow them in, allow them the opportunity to lead, allow them to participate in our processes and learn more about how we operate. And when we fail to do that, we fail to cultivate good candidates who want to run as Democrats. Republicans are really good at cultivating their young folks. They get them young, they train them up, they give them jobs, they take good care of them. We struggle with that on the Democratic side. We hire young organizers for a cycle and then send them out into the world. I would love us to build an infrastructure that is lasting and long-term, where folks could have jobs more than just 4 months out of the election year, but all the time. It's why we had year-round organizing at the Michigan Democratic Party. It's why I think that the national party should be supporting folks to do year-round organizing. So we're training up our young folks and keeping them employed in good jobs with health insurance, right? The fact that we don't do that means that we're not developing our skills. We're not developing our young folks to become players in this game, whether they want to be operatives like me or whether they want to run for elected office. We've got so much work we could be doing to bring folks along and open up our doors so that we build a set of better, stronger, faster, smarter candidates.
Henry, I think we just found our new DNC chair. I mean, come on, y'all. I mean, who's with me? I mean, so listen, across the country, folks, when we talk about having new leadership, this is the kind of leadership we need. Ms. Barnes, I've been saying this or versions of it for years. We have to make sure if we're going to build this thing, we build it from the ground up, which not only just means younger, it means that the structure of it is about a long-lasting thing that's got iron deep, roots in terms of how we structure the party. We can always adjust and navigate, but if we don't establish the baseline of what we stand for and talk about that proudly, not apologetically, then people aren't going to be drawn to it and they're not going to want to stick around. And thank you so much for saying that about the structural part in terms of, every election cycle, whether it's a local or even special election, and along the national. This is where we as a Democratic Party have, as much as we can talk about policy and all the other things that got to be different, that's a part there. That structural change has got to happen. And listen, Henry, I'm serious. This is our new DNC chair right here, y'all. Lavora Barnes. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we're talking with our new DNC chair, Lavora Barnes. I done my job today, Miss Barnes. I made you laugh a couple of times. Good old belly laugh. But seriously,
thank you for that.
And as much as I say that and there's humor tied to it, I'm pretty damn serious about it because ain't nobody else saying what you just said, at least not that I'm hearing. And I talk to a lot of people. It's the baseline structure. It is having people, having jobs, having it be a business. And here's the other thing, too. And I don't know if this has crossed your mind or not. But this is where the business community that are quote unquote democratic businesses or people who are Democrats that run businesses, small, medium, and large, and the wealthy Democrats would then have, for lack of better words, a stake in that infrastructure because it's a business. They're not contributing to a beneficiary.
They're investing.
Thank you. Okay.
They're investing.
Baton back. Baton back to you.
Here's the thing. Like, who wants to invest in a multi-million, maybe even billion-dollar business that stands itself up and tears itself down in the same year?
Yep.
What?
No business can run that way.
Sense. Exactly. It makes no sense whatsoever. But it's what we do every 4 years. And also we do it every 4 years nationally, as though there aren't elections happening those other 3 years all over the country, or those elections that are happening have nothing to do with us as a national party, when in fact they do. I've been around long enough. I've worked with several DNC chairs, all of whom are good people who care about what happens in the states. But something about the system that has been built stymies them and the effort to support those states in the work that they do. Jamie Harrison ran in a state. He was a state party chair. He knew all the things that we needed in the state to run a state. But when it came time for that general election for president, things were very similar to the way they had been every 4 years, because Jamie was powerless to do anything about it. We've got to figure out a way.
Why was he powerless? I'm sorry.
Because this is the other thing. We need to have presidential candidates who also understand the importance of a strong party year-round all the time in all the states. And until we get there, until we have trained up, we're back to my training and my long-term planning. until we've trained up people in a system where they understand the importance of that structure, so that when they have decided to run for president and they are a presidential nominee, they believe in the structure, they understand the structure, they want to support it and grow it. We're never going to get there. We're never going to get there, because every time we come back to presidential year, we're back to that process of building up a campaign that we should have had it built already. You have state party chairs like me standing in the wings yelling, we should be setting up infrastructure right now, or I've got infrastructure for you here in Michigan, come use it. No, we're good. We'll be there soon. Until we find presidential candidates and other operatives who have some buy-in and understanding of the system and a long-term plan for building it and using it, we won't get there. And part of our problem, frankly, as Democrats, is that we're really bad at long-term planning. We're really bad at seeing further down the road. We get very focused on the next thing in front of us. We're all talking about the midterms. Very important. I'm very locked in on the midterms. Absolutely. But I'm also thinking about 28 and 30 and 32, and because it keeps coming. It doesn't stop. So why does our planning stop? We need a long-term plan that gets us ready for 10, 12, 20 years down the road. It's what the Republicans did. It's how they got here. Think about how much time they spent trying to tear down Roe v. Wade. They got there. They were patient. They kept going. They got there. We are not patient, and we don't have a long-term plan.
One of our engineers, I refer to him. His name's Henry. He's ready to stand up on the platform here in the studio.
Hey, Henry.
But it's so right on point, and it's one of the reasons that I'm so grateful to have all the guests I have on my show, but certain people who are so subject matter specific and experts, is because you cut through all the BS and just get to the heart of the matter. And whether I'm talking to someone that's a scientist or that understands the importance of environmental issues here in the country, or someone like you, Ms. Barnes, who understands the importance of building a political business, rather than just a political, every 4 years operation, they're light years apart from each other. So thank you for that. I want to read something to you that I know you're familiar with, real quickly, as we and by the way, you have an open invitation, and we will be bugging the heck out of you to have you back. And I'm not exaggerating there or just being funny, because people all over the country need to hear what you've been saying these last few minutes. So I'm going to do my part to make sure that happens, and then connect you with some of the other big voices that I think are making change. But here are some things that you're familiar with, and I'll read these to you. 10 Steps to Freedom and Power. And this gets back into the work that you're doing with Democracy Defenders Action. Commit, share, organize, mobilize, litigate, disrupt, deny, engage, elect, demand. I'm going to probably make a poster out of these. Talk a little bit about that and the work that links to when it comes to Democracy Defenders Action.
It really is the basic formula we should all be thinking about and using in terms of how we respond in this moment and how we respond in every moment, whether it is something as big as this that's happening to our country right now, or as small as that stoplight at the end of your street that doesn't work. This is the formula for how you make action happen in your community. And one of the things that I say all the time, and I said it as party chair also, is that we have to give folks on-ramps, right? Because one of the things I struggle with is we expect so many people to try to do everything that you just listed on that list. And for some people, one or two of those are all they can accomplish, and that's fine also. Mm-hmm. But it all needs to happen, which is why organizations like Democracy Defenders Action are so important, because we can take up the mantle in many of those places where there are gaps to be filled because other organizations or other people aren't able to take them up. And I'm so proud of the work that we do, because so many times we show up somewhere where things are not going the way the organizations on the ground want them to go, and they say, if we just had X, if we just had Y, we could get to the next level. And we say, let us provide X, let us provide Y. And sometimes here's some funding so that you can hire a lawyer to be your voter protection director. Sometimes that's let's find some influencers to amplify the voices of the folks in your community so that their noise can be heard. Sometimes it's let's pay for a piece of mail to go into these communities to explain to people how to vote by mail, vote absentee, vote from home. Whatever that gap is, we like to come in and fill it. And I think that when you look at that list of things that you just talked about, aside from litigate, that happens on the C3 side mostly inside our organization. We do a lot of that work in the C4 and PAC space at Democracy Defenders. And we do it with passion. We try to be strategic about it. We don't try to be all things to all people. That's a thing I've learned in the years that I've tried to do this. If you spread yourself too thin, you're not as effective as you are if you can be targeted with where you work. So we choose very carefully the states and the races that we try to support, and then we go in and do whatever we can to fill whatever gaps there are to make a difference.
That's profound. So listen, I get a lot of different comments and whatever from people from all over, from different things. Why don't you talk about this? Why aren't you solving that? Why don't you do more of this, et cetera? And I get that, and I got big, strong shoulders. I've got Kevlar on regarding that. But I want to ask you this question, and this is going to be kind of the baseline for you coming back. One of the things that people say in terms of structure about the Democratic Party, but this is not the Democratic Party, it's the country, and that is our failed, messed up, awful, post-enslavement electoral college.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So let's put that out there so that we have you back on. Because there's some people that think that I'm the reason that it's not been solved because I don't talk about it enough. But that being said, we'll let that one do what it's going to do. But I want to ask you that the next time we have you on, we talk about the Electoral College and what can be done to affect that. But I think you probably are going to say to me right now that we have to win some elections first, and then
yes.
But that big
win the elections. Yes.
What's that?
But we should definitely talk about it. Yes, but yes, step one, win those elections, and then step two, push our legislators once we've elected them to do the work. And part of that work is passing the legislation that would allow us to tear down the Electoral College.
Bingo.
And I'm saying that from a perspective of here in Michigan, we had that trifecta. We had a state house, state senate, governor, and we had folks, including many members of our party, in our platform that we would like to see that Electoral College gone. But we couldn't get it done inside the Michigan legislature. So yes, let's put that on our agenda for our next conversation because there's work to be done.
Absolutely. Lavora Barnes, thank you so much for being with us. How can folks find you, get involved with you so that we can keep your work strong and moving forward?
You can find me on Substack. You can find me on Insta, always using my full name, Lavora Barnes. And then Democracy Defenders Action has a website, and you can find us there. I think it's pretty much just democracydefenders.org, I think. .com? .org. Wow, I'm bad at that.
Sounds good. Lavora Barnes, thank you so much for being with us. Democracy Defenders Action is her group and her organization. Henry's going to keep you on for a second right after we wrap up the call so that we can make sure we get some information and get you and Kristen connected. So thank you for hanging out with us this morning, okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Look forward to coming back.
Sounds good. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up the show today. The numbers, you got that always. You know where you'd find us and what you do and all that. But one thing to make sure that you do is to stay tuned for the Stephanie Miller Show. And as always, take a deep breath and make your life count. We will see you tomorrow. WCPT 820 will be hosting a candidate forum for the 3 leading candidates for Illinois' open United States Senate seat in the Democratic primary on February 6th.
Please join us at the Plumbers Hall at 1340 West Washington in Chicago, or listen to the live broadcast.
Representative Raja Krishnamurthy, Representative Robin Kelly, and Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton will be discussing their stances on the issues and making their case for your vote.
WCPT hosts Patty Vasquez, Richard Chu, and of course Jonas. Esposito will be moderating the forum.
To attend in person, go to heartlandsignal.com/WCPT820 and register. We'll have limited seats available, so please register early.
Meet the leading Senate Democratic candidates at a free WCPT Live Candidate Forum at Plumbers Union Hall, Local 130 on Washington Street in Chicago, Friday, February 6th.
The forum starts at 1 p.m. and is sponsored by Plumbers Union Local 130 and Iron Workers Local 63.
Stephanie Miller here. If eating is stressing you out, you're not alone. There's so much confusion around food. One day something's good for you, the next day it's not. No wonder digestion can feel chaotic. What I learned from the Tummy Whisperer is reassuring your body isn't broken, it's communicating. It needs proper guidance. That's why I trust Renee Barish at Digestive Health Solutions as a certified digestive health specialist. Renee works one-to-one, helping people make sense of their symptoms without extremes or overwhelming them. If you've changed your diet and feel the same or worse, if bloating, reflux, constipation, diarrhea, and low energy are running your life, Renee will help you connect the dots. Digestion will calm down, food can feel easy again, and you don't have to figure it all out alone. You've got the Tummy Whisperer. Learn more at thetummywhisperer.com or call Renee at 847-207-2034. One more time, that's 847-207-2034. Let's get you feeling better.
From posters and presentations to labels and loyalty cards, Staples has all the print to boost your brand. Shop now, in-store, and online. Staples. That was easy.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. Prosecutors are trying to seek a life sentence for the man who tried to shoot President Trump at a Florida golf course. Ryan Ruth is scheduled to appear today before U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon in Fort Pierce. Her courtroom erupted into chaos in September, shortly after jurors found Ruth guilty on all counts, including attempting to kill a presidential candidate and several firearm-related charges. Ruth tried to stab himself in the neck with a pen, and officers quickly dragged him out. AP correspondent Ed Donahue reports a former first couple has agreed to testify before Congress.
Former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton finalized an agreement with Republicans to testify at the end of the month in a House investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. The Clintons were being threatened with a contempt of Congress vote against them. Majority Leader Steve Scalise says it wasn't just Republicans who wanted this.
Republicans and Democrats voting unanimously, which almost never happens in the Oversight Committee.
California Democrat Ted Lieu says it's a distraction. Bill Clinton was in the Epstein files, but so was Donald Trump.
Thousands and thousands of times. In those files, there's highly disturbing allegations of Donald Trump raping children, of Donald Trump threatening to kill children.
President Trump was asked about the Clintons being forced to testify.
I think it's a shame, to be honest. I always liked him. Her, yeah, she's a very capable woman.
He praised Hillary Clinton for her debate skills. Ed Donahue, Washington.
Investigators found signs of forced entry at the Arizona home of Today's Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother. Authorities are urging the public to offer tips, but revealed a few new details about the investigation. Pima County Sheriff said they don't have credible information indicating Nancy Guthrie's disappearance was targeted. More information at apnews.com. This is AP News.
AP Sports, I'm Gethin Coolbaugh. James Harden is headed to Cleveland. The Clippers agreed to send the 11-time All-Star to the Cavaliers in exchange for fellow All-Star guard Darius Garland. Two-time All-Star big Jaren Jackson Jr. was traded from the Grizzlies to the Jazz in an 8-player deal that includes 3 draft picks. The Celtics added two-time All-Star big Nikola Vucevic and sent guard Anthony Simons back to the Bulls. On the court, the Pistons outlasted the Nuggets 124-121 behind 29 points from Cade Cunningham. Stephen Curry is teaming up with LeBron James and Kevin Durant at the NBA All-Star Game. And NFL, Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts threw 3 touchdown passes in flag football as the NFC beat the AFC 66-52 in the Pro Bowl games. Gethin Coolbaugh, AP Sports.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see cloudy skies here for today with temperatures holding rather steady. Northwest winds around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, cloudy and a low near 16. By Thursday, a slight chance for some snow. We'll see cloudy skies, high 31 degrees. Friday, a slight chance for snow early on, mostly cloudy, high of 39. By Saturday, mostly sunny skies, high around 29 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 23.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Game day starts before kickoff. Get ready for the big game with help from Menards. Find great deals on sofas and recliners to keep guests comfortable all game long. Score big savings and stock up on game day goodies. Shop a variety of snacks and drinks to keep your party fueled up. Make Menards a part of your game plan. Shop in store or on Menards.com and save big money.
Save big money at Menards.
Who is Kevin Ryan? Hey, that's me. I'm a Chicago public school teacher, union member, and Marine Corps veteran. Most importantly, I am a New Deal Democrat from a new generation, and I am running for the United States Senate to make our government work for all of us, not just the 1%. Now, you might not have heard of me because, well, I am just like you. I don't have millions of dollars to spend on TV ads, I'm not backed by a billionaire, and I've been excluded from the debates because I refuse to raise millions of dollars from the 1%. Instead, I am backed by ordinary people like you. I'm the only candidate to campaign in all 102 counties in my campaign school bus, and we fund our campaign by simply passing a hat around. So we thought we'd spend some of that money to introduce our campaign to you on WCPT Radio. If you want to send a real progressive to the United States Senate and not another bought and paid for Democrat, go to kevinryan.com. Spread the word and vote for the candidate endorsed by Illinois progressives. My name is Kevin Ryan. I'm running for the U.S. Senate, and I approve this message. Paid for by people of Illinois and Kevin Ryan.
How serious is youth vaping? Irreversible lung damage serious. 1 in 10 kids vape serious, which warrants a serious conversation from a serious parental figure like yourself. Not the seriously know-it-all sports dad or the seriously smart podcaster. It requires a serious conversation that is best had by you. No, seriously, the best person to talk to your child about vaping is you. To start the conversation, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts